If you want to know about the law of attraction and how your thoughts shape your reality, you need to know about the New Thought movement. And Prentice Mulford was one of the earliest thinkers in the New Thought movement, and he wrote a great book called Thoughts Are Things. And his works went on to inspire people like Wallace D. Wattles, who wrote The Science of Getting Rich, William Walker Atkinson, who was actually the real author of The Kabbalion, and people like Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. So we're going to jump straight into it. Thoughts are things. The material mind versus the spiritual mind. There belongs to every human being a higher self and a lower self. A self or mind of the spirit, which has been growing for ages, and a self of the body, which is but a thing of yesterday. The higher self is full of prompting idea, suggestion, and aspiration. This it receives of the supreme power. All this, the lower animal self regards as wild and visionary. See, I love this. I love the foundation of this section. He talks about the higher self and the lower self, the spiritual mind, the material mind. The spiritual mind receives ideas, inspirations, insights from the universe, from God, from spirit. But what happens is the physical body, the physical mind, the physical world, we reject these ideas as wild and visionary. So this is so important as a foundation, recognizing we have the higher self and the lower self within us. You have, in a sense, two minds, the mind of the body and the mind of the spirit. Spirit is a force and a mystery. All we know or may ever know of it is that it exists and is ever working and producing all the results in the physical things seen of the physical sense and many more not seen. What is seen of any object, a tree, an animal, a stone, a man, is only a part of that tree, animal, stone, or man. There is a force which for a time binds such objects together in a form you see them. That force is always acting on them to a greater or less degree. It builds up the flower to its fullest maturity. So what he's saying is we have this physical world that we live in, this physical manifestation, the world that you live in, you have your senses. What we see through our senses is made up of spirit. This spirit is beneath all the physical world that we see. The mind of the body, or the material mind, sees, thinks, and judges entirely from the material or physical standpoint. It sees your own body, all there is of you. The spiritual mind sees the body as an instrument for the mind, or real self to use in dealing with the material things. The material mind sees in the death of the body as an end of all there is of you. The spiritual mind sees in the death of the body only the falling off from the spirit of a worn-out instrument. See, I love this. So the physical world, the material world that we live in, our senses, we have our five senses, and most people believe, and what he's saying here, most people believe that is all that we can see, that is all that there is, whereas the spiritual mind knows there is more beyond the physical realm, and the spirit is using the physical body for a moment. It's only an instrument. This is what he's saying. The material mind thinks matter, or that which is known by our physical senses, to be the largest part of what exists. The spiritual mind regards matter as the coarser or crude expression of spirit and the smallest part of what really exists. See, the higher self, the lower self. The higher self is spirit, the lower self is physical expression. Whereas the physical expression in this physical world, what they believe is this is a lower level of vibration or a lower level of expression. Whereas the spiritual world knows so much more exists beyond the physical senses. When the spiritual mind has once commenced to awaken, nothing can stop it further waking, though the material mind for a time may retard it. See, what I love about this is within every individual we have the spirit. And once you awaken the spirit within, there's no possibility for you to prevent the spirit from expressing itself. From time to time, the material mind, the physical senses, you're going to retard it, you're going to prevent it from coming through. But the spirit is such a powerful force, eventually it's going to realize its fullest expression. Many a thought or idea that you reject as visionary or a whim or fancy comes from the prompting of your spiritual mind. It is your material mind that rejects it. So what he's saying is you've got the higher self, the lower self, again, the spiritual mind, the physical mind. A lot of the ideas, the inspiration, the dreams, the grandest ideas come from the spiritual mind. This is important. It comes from your higher self. But the physical mind through your five senses, a lot of the time we reject these ideas and we don't realize our dreams. When you were young, you had dreams, you had ideas, and these came from your spiritual mind, from your higher self. But as you got older, you blocked out the noise and you prevented them from coming in through your five senses. This is very, very important. Holiness implies wholeness or whole action of the spirit on the body, or perfect control by your spirit over a body, through knowledge and faith in our capacity to draw ever more and more from the supreme power. So holiness essentially means that the person who is holy is a person who recognizes spirit within them, recognizes their higher self, and the holy person has control over their physical body. So the holy person, holiness, is essentially a person who has self-mastery through their higher self over their physical body and their five senses. 2. Who are our relations? The man or woman who is most like you in tastes, motives, and habits of thought, and to whom you feel most attracted, may not be brother, sister, cousin, or any physical relative at all, but such a person is to you a very nearby relation. See, I love this. He's saying that you don't necessarily need to be blood to be related to another individual. Your brothers or sisters may not be like you at all in mind, taste, and inclination. You may associate with them because they are members of the family. But were you not to know them as brothers, sisters, or other relatives, or were you to see elsewhere in the exact counterparts in character, you might not like such counterparts at all. So what he's saying here is, even though a person might be a blood relative, maybe they're not a relative at all. Physical or blood relationship has very little bearing on the real or mental relationship. It is possible for a brother or sister, a father or mother to be very closely aligned to you in thought and sympathy, right? They can be connected with you. Your family can be connected with you in thought and aligned with you. Again, it is possible for a father or mother, brother or sister to be very remote from you in thought and sympathy and to live in a realm or atmosphere of thought very unlike yours, right? So again, you can have your blood relations, but if they're not aligned with you, if you guys aren't on the same wavelength, are you really related? This is the question. You can live neither healthfully nor comfortably unless with those whose thought atmosphere, a literal emanation from them, is similar to your own. So again, a happy, healthy life means surrounding yourself with people that are aligned and in harmony with your thoughts. I knew a man over 70 years of age and as sound, as active, vigorous in mind and body as one of 40. He had organized and built up a large business. His several children at last took it in their heads that it was time father retired from business. Henceforth, the thought spoken and unspoken bearing month in and month out on father from children was his desire and demand that he should retire from business. Confiding his situation to a friend, he said, "Why should I retire from business? I live in it, I like it, and so far as I can see, am able to conduct it properly." But the persistent demand and force brought to bear on him from those foes of his own blood and household were too great to withstand. He did retire. The sons and daughters were satisfied. The father soon commenced to decline in health. He lived about 2 years afterwards, and one of his last remarks was, "My children have killed me." What he's saying here is that the decline in health stems from not doing something you love. So if you're doing work that you love, that's deep and meaningful to you, you should be doing that to your deathbed, right? Warren Buffett, 95 years old, he finally stepped down as CEO. But is he going to stop working? No, he's still going to be working day in, day out to the day he dies. So never stop doing what you love, because that's going to be the decline in your health. How long then should parental control continue over a child, or rather over a spirit for which you have been agency of furnishing with a new body? Is it unreasonable to say that such control should not continue after such a body emerging from the helplessness of infancy shall have acquired such control of its organization as shall enable it to meet its all physical demands and necessities? To go beyond this, to give food, clothes, shelter, maintenance to a person is doing him or her a great injustice or even cruelty. In doing so, you do not grant exercise to those faculties which must be used in coping successfully with the world. You make the children the less fitted to be self-sustaining and earn their own living. You teach them to lie in a self-luxurious bed when they should be out in the world exercising and making more strong and dexterous their powers both of mind and body. So what I love about this is he's talking about, as parents, we're furnishing the spirit into their body, right? There is a physical body, the spirit implants into the body. As parents, we have control over this body whilst it comes to being able to be self-sustaining. Once that body is self-sustaining, we need to allow that spirit to have its free expression. Otherwise, it's going to create dependency upon us. That is very, very important to understand. We need to allow the children to go and experience the world and learn the resources and tools to become self-reliant, because if we don't, we're going to ruin them. This is very important to understand as parents and as we're developing in the world as individuals. 3, thought currents. We need to be careful of what we think and talk, because thought runs in currents as real of those as air and water. Of what we think and talk, we attract to us like current of thought. This acts on mind or body for good or ill. If thought was visible to the physical eye, we should see it in currents flowing to and from people. So thought currents. What I love about this is the beginning, this is the foundation of the law of attraction. See, what he's saying is, as we think, we're producing thoughts and we're receiving thoughts from other people. So as we put out thoughts, what we're thinking about, we're putting out thoughts. These thoughts attract these things towards us. This is what he said, because thought runs in currents as real as those as air as water. Of what we think and talk, we attract to us like a current in thought, right? And he talks about this is going to support you or this is going to challenge you. Your thoughts are either going to lift you up or they're going to pull you down, because you're going to attract you based upon the thoughts that you're having. The more minds united on any purpose, the more power do they attract to the effect of that purpose. So this is talking about the mastermind. If you think about modern day thinkers, they're talking about the mastermind. This is exactly what he's saying in 1830s about the mastermind. The more people united on any one purpose, the more power you're going to have to attract those things into your world. If we are always thinking and talking of people's imperfections, we are drawing to us ever of that thought current and thereby incorporating into ourselves those very imperfections. So are you bitching and complaining about other people? Because if you're bitching and complaining about other people, what's going to happen is that's going to be drawn into you and that's going to be part of who you become. This is very important to understand because your thoughts are currents. You're producing thoughts and you're going to attract to you based upon the thoughts that you're putting out. 4. One way to cultivate courage. Courage and presence of mind mean the same thing. Presence of mind implies command of the mind. So again, courage is the ability to take control of your thoughts that you're having. Cowardice and lack of mental control means about the same thing. Cowardice is rooted in hurry, the habit of hurry or lack of repose. So being a coward is a person who is a hurried person who can't control his own thoughts. All degrees of success are based on courage, mental and physical. So all degrees of success are based on the ability of you to be able to use your thoughts and control your thoughts. All degrees of failure are based on timidity. You can cultivate courage and increase it every minute of every hour of the day. You can have the satisfaction of knowing that in everything you do have accomplished two things, namely the doing of the thing itself and by the manner of doing it, adding eternally to your another atom of the quality of courage. You can do this by the cultivation of deliberation. This is very powerful. Deliberation of speech, of walk, of writing, of eating, deliberation, everything. So courage is developed by using your thoughts deliberately based upon the thing you're doing at hand. The quality of mind or emotion underlying all this hurried mental condition and consequent hurried act is fear. Fear is but another name for lack of power to control our minds, or in other words, to control the kind of thought we think or put out. If you pick up a pin or tie a shoestring in a hurry, you do so not because such act is irksome to you, but because you fear it may deprive you momentarily of some bit of pleasure. There you have again opened your mind to the thought current of fear of losing something. So again, what I love about this is so often I'm sitting there, I'm brushing my teeth, but I'm thinking about something else because if I don't brush my teeth fast enough, I'm going to miss out on this. What is that doing to me? It's fear. I'm fear that I'm missing out on something. And if you're focusing on the fear of missing out on something, what's going to happen? You're going to miss out on that thing. So the law of attraction is, what he's saying here is, if you can see, there's a lot of introspection, being very deliberate about the thoughts you're having, because what you think about, you attract. The cultivation of courage commences in the cultivation of deliberation in so-called little acts like these. Deliberation and courage are closely allied in fear and hurry. If we do not learn to govern our force properly in the doing of the smallest act, we shall find such government far less easy in doing of all acts. See, what I love about this is, if you can't put your focus on the small things, when you're going to be working on the big things, how are you going to put your focus on them? So what he's saying is courage is the ability to be able to use your thoughts to focus on the thing that you're doing at hand. And if you learn to develop the habit of doing this, you're going to be able to focus on the big things. But if you can't keep the focus on the small things, how are you going to be able to work on the big things? You're not going to be able to do so. Pleasure is the sure result of placing thought or force on the thing we're doing now. And pain of some sort, in both present and future, is a certain result of sending thought or force away from the act which needs to be done at this moment. So pleasure is focusing on the thing at hand. Suffering is doing something but focusing on something else. When we dress, eat, walk, or do anything with mind placed on something else, we are making the present act irksome. We are training to make every act irksome and disagreeable. There's resistance, there's no alignment. We are making the thing feared a certainty. For what we put out in thought as unpleasant is an actual thing in reality. So what you're putting out in thought, it's actually happening to you in the moment. And the longer we continue to put out, the more force we add to it and the more likely it is to be realized in the physical world. So again, think about the introspection here. If you're doing something and you're focusing on something else, that's creating suffering in that moment. And the more suffering in that moment, the more you're going to draw that to you in your physical world. To train for courage is to train for deliberate movement in all things, for that is simply training to mass and hold your force in reserve and not let out more than is needed for the moment. See, what I love about this is we have thought capacity, we have willpower, and by us being able to focus on the thing at hand, we have more thought force, and we want to be mindful of allowing our thoughts to wander elsewhere, because if our thoughts are wandering elsewhere, what's going to happen is we're losing this powerful reserve. A person is cool and collected in the face of a great danger because he has the power of holding his mind to the thing that needs to be done on the instant. Let's keep it very simple. What about the person who's rock climbing? They're cool, calm, and collected rock climbing because they're completely present in that moment, focusing on the thing at hand. But if they were rock climbing and focusing on something else, they're not going to be cool, calm, and collected. They're going to draw fear to them and they're going to suffer, yeah? They're going to fall off and suffer. You will remember that anything which is done in mind expends quite as much force as if it's done with the body. So that the persons who linger abed in the morning and think with dread of the breakfast to be cooked or the rooms to be swept, so far as expenditure of force is concerned, will be doing those acts then and there while lying on their backs. See, think about this. So if you're sitting there regretting what you need to do, you're actually suffering in that moment of regret. This is important. If you're regretting that you need to clean the household, even if it's happening in mind, in your physical body, you are suffering. So Mind and body, whatever's happening in the mind at the same time is happening in the body, whether it's happening as a physical expression or not, you're still going to be creating that level of suffering. This is very powerful. So what you think about is actually affecting your body. 5, look forward. The tendency with many people after they are a little advanced in years is to look backward with regret. The looking should be the other way, forward. If you want to go backward in every sense, mental and physical, keep on cultivating the mood of living regretfully in your past. It is one of the chief characteristics of the material mind to hold tenaciously to the past. It likes to recall the past and mourn over it. The material mind has a never-ending series of seldom amusement in recalling past joys and feeling sad because they are never to come again. But the real self, the spirit, cares relatively little for the past. It courts change. It will expect to be different in individual and thought a year hence from that it is today. See, what I love about this is look forward. The people that live in the past, so think about something that might have happened to you when you're 20, 15, 10, 5 years old, right? Let's say some traumatic event or something that happened to you. Anytime you go back to that moment in mind, what is happening to your body? Your physical body in that moment is reliving that experience, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions. So you're living in the past. And if you're living in the past, that is going to be your reality that is going to show up. Youth physically is fresh and blooming because it packs no past sad material remembrances with it. So if you look about a youthful person, someone who's 5, 10, 15 years old, a lot of the time they look youthful because they don't have any baggage with them. But if you look at the people as they get older, they're 40, 45, 50, 60, 70, they look older. Why do they look older? Because they're carrying baggage, and that baggage is drawing them down. We need as much possible to fasten our thought on life and increasing life greater in activity than we ever have realized. That is not gained by looking backward, look forward. Every regret, every mournful thought takes so much out of your life. It is a force used to pile on the misery. It is a force used to strengthen the habit of regretting. It is a force used to make the mind color everything with a tinge of sadness. And the longer you use the force in this way, the darker will grow with tinge. Also, when we are ever going back in memory to the past and living in it in preference to the present, we are bringing back on ourselves the old moods of mind and mental conditions belonging to the past. This feeling constantly indulged in will bring on some form of physical ailment. So think about it. If you're living in the past, in these past traumas, these past events, what's going to happen is you're not able to go forward. You're not able to grow forward and move forward, which is the physical expression of the spirit wants to move forward. But what's also going to happen is you're going to create suffering. You're going to create some physical ailment. Nothing in nature, nothing in the universe is at a standstill. Nothing goes backward. A gigantic, incomprehensible force and wisdom moves all things forward toward greater and higher powers and possibilities. So everything is moving forward to greater levels of expression, to greater power and possibility. You are included and part of this force. So you are that force that can move forward to greater expression. There is of you in embryo the power of preventing the physical body your spirit uses from decaying, and the power also of using it in ways which even to the fiction of today would discard as wild for the pages of a novel. See, what I love about this is your spirit is such an advance. So you've got the spiritual mind and the physical mind. The spiritual mind is so advanced in thinking and degree that the physical body, the physical senses, most people on this plane of universe and existence wouldn't even be able to comprehend the vastness of this mind. People would think it's radical. Power comes of looking forward with hope of expecting and demanding the better things to come. So power comes from the expectation that better things are going to come. That is the law of the infinite mind, and when we follow it, we live in that mind. Nature buries her dead as quickly as possible and gets them out of sight. So again, what is not needed is turned over. It is better, however, to say that nature changes what it has no further use for in other terms of life. The live tree produces a new leaf with each return of spring. It will have nothing to do with the dead ones. So again, casting off the old sheaths and moving forward. If you hold on to the past, you're not going to be able to grow forward. This is spring. Springtime is molting off the dead sheaths and starting afresh, starting anew. 6. God in the trees or the infinite mind in nature. You are fortunate if you love trees, and especially the wild ones growing where the great creative force placed them, and independent of man's care. For all things we call wild or natural are nearer the infinite mind than those which have been enslaved, artificialized, and hampered by man. Being nearer to the infinite, they have in them the more perfect infinite force and thought. That is why, when you are in the midst of what is wild and natural, in the forest or the mountains, where every trace of man's work is left behind, you feel an indescribable exhilaration and freedom that you do not realize elsewhere. See, what I absolutely love about this, if you go to nature, if you look at the ocean, the waves crashing in the ocean, if you look at the sand, if you look at the mountains, if you look at the forest, if you look at nature in its creativest form, this is God, this is the infinite mind in its most natural expression. And anytime, to the degree that man hampers with nature's natural expression, is to the degree that we are further away from this spirit. This is what he's saying. Man enslaves things by touching them. But if we allow the God's beauty to express itself, that is the greatest creation there is. But man hampers with things, and the more that we hamper with things, the further we are from this spirit or this underlying force of the universe. Love is an element which, though physically unseen, is as real as air or water. It is an acting, living, moving force, and in that far greater world of life all around us, of which physical sense is unaware. It moves in waves and currents like those of the ocean. There is a sense in the tree which feels your love and responds to it. So there is this great force of love. This spirit beneath all things is love. And this love is experienced by the trees. The trees and the things around you can experience this love from you. This is very powerful. The nearer we are to conception of the infinite mind, the clearer it is seen by us that this mind pervades all things. The closer we feel our relationship to the tree, bird or animal as a fellow creature, the more we can absorb of the vitalizing element given out by all these expressions of mind. The more that we realize and recognize the spirit within all things, the more that we're able to love all things around us. And the more that we're able to love the things around us, the more that we're going to be able to receive from the things around us. So think about if you hate somebody, if you're hating another individual, are you going to be able to get much from them? No. But if you love another individual, are you going to be able to receive a lot from them? Yes, you are. This is very powerful. This is what he's saying. And it's not just about individuals, it's about everything around you. The highest love for all things is for us a literal source of life. The more things in the world of nature to which we can give the higher love, the more of their natural love and life we should get in return. The more that you love, the more creative expression, the more expression of life you're going to get. 7. Some laws of health and beauty. Your thoughts shape your face and give it its peculiar expression. Your thoughts determine the attitude, carriage, and shape of your whole body. The law for beauty and the law for perfect health is the same. Both depend entirely on the state of your mind, or in other words, on the kind of thoughts you most put out and receive. Your body is the actual clothing as well as the instrument used by your mind or spirit. See, the law of health and beauty states that your physical body, your face, is an expression of the thoughts that you're putting out. So the thoughts that you're putting out are going to determine the expression on your face and the way that your body is held. What I absolutely love doing is you go to the shops and you can pay attention to people's faces, pay attention to their facial expression, pay attention to what they're wearing, how they're holding themselves. And by paying attention to this, you're going to be able to see what's going on in their minds. So by paying attention to the thoughts that you're having, is going to make you beautiful and live in perfect health. There are two kinds of age, the age of your body and the age of your mind. Your body, in a sense, is but a growth, a construction of today and for the use of today. So your body is but a thing of today. Very, very important. Your mind is another growth or construction, millions of years old. It has used many bodies in its growth. It has grown from very small beginnings to its present condition, power, and capacity in the use of these many bodies. So what they're saying is you've got the age of the body, which is but a thing of today. It's but a thing of today and yesterday. But you've got the age of the spirit. This spirit is never ending. This spirit has been around for eons and eons of times, for millions and millions of years. And this spirit that you have within you, this spirit has used many physical bodies before your time, and it's forever been evolving and evolving and evolving in time. So it's essentially saying this world that you're living in right now, this physical body that you're in right now, is but a vessel for your spirit, and your spirit has used multiple bodies throughout its lifetime to get you to the point where you are today. This is a very powerful understanding. So they're saying to a degree there is past lives, yeah? Very powerful. You are every day thinking yourself into some phase of character and facial expression, good or bad. If your thoughts are permanently cheerful, your face will look cheerful. So pay attention to people's facial expressions. It's going to tell a lot about what's going on inside their minds. We may eat the healthiest bread in the world, and if we eat in a sour temper, we'll put sourness in our blood and sourness in our stomachs and sourness on our faces. So again, regardless if you got all the money in the world, right, and you're eating this beautiful food and this very nutritious food, but if you're doing it in a sour temper and a shit temper, what's going to be expression in your body and your face is going to be a sour expression. Of whatever possible thing we think, we are building in unseen substance a construction which will draw to us forces or elements to aid or hurt us according to the character of thought which we think or put out. What is he saying here? The law of attraction. Whatever thing we think, we are building in unseen substance. So whatever thing we're thinking about in unseen substance, spirit, living force, matter, the universe, the underlying substantial reality, this essence, whatever we think about, we're creating, we're building, and we're going to bring it towards us. That's what he's saying here. A construction which will draw forces or elements, and they're going to aid or hurt us. The thoughts that you're having are going to construct from this material foundation of the universe. These things are going to help you or they're going to hurt you, according to the character of thought you put out. This is important. Of that which you think most, that you will be, and that you will have most of. I'm going to repeat that again. Of that which you think of most, that you will be, and that you'll have most of. So what you're gonna think about, that is what you're gonna turn into, and what you're gonna turn into, you're gonna have the most of. So what are you thinking about? If you can see the new thought movement, when you're thinking about new thought, there's a lot of introspection because we're paying attention to what's going on up here. And a quick little tip, use a journal. Every night before bed, I journal, dump my thoughts because it's giving me the opportunity to reflect upon the thoughts I'm having. Are my thoughts serving me or are they destroying me? Because you're gonna turn into the person that your thoughts are. You're gonna become, that expression's gonna come in your body, your face, and that's what you're gonna have more of. It's very powerful. 9, the God in yourself. As a spirit, you are part of God or the infinite force of spirit of good. As such part, you are an ever-growing power which can never lessen and must always increase, even as it is in the past, through many ages, always increase and built you up as to intelligence, to your present mental stature. The power of your mind has been growing to its present quality and clearness through many more physical lives than the one you are now living. Though through each past life, you've unconsciously added to its power. So your spirit is always on the path of evolution. If you think about spirit, the densest matter he's spoke about in the past, the densest matter, our physical expression is on the lowest vibration and our spirit is at the highest level of vibration. And throughout the spirit's journey, it's forever getting to higher and higher vibration. But your spirit has used many bodies throughout its lifetime to get to where you are in this present moment today, where you are as an individual today. It's used many bodies, and these many bodies that it's used to evolve its spirit has gotten you to the point where you are right now in consciousness, in awareness, where you are right now. Whew, listen to this is good. Never in thought acknowledge an impossibility. Never in mind reject what to you may seem as the wildest idea with scorn, because in doing so, you may not know what you are closing the door against. To say anything is impossible because it seems impossible to you is just so much training in the dangerous habit of calling out impossible to every new idea. To say impossible as to what you may do or so become is a sin. It is denying God's power to work through you. It is denying the power of the infinite spirit to do through you far more than what you are now capable of conceiving of mind. When you say impossible and I can't, you make a present impossibility for yourself. Whew. The spirit within you, God within you, the universe within you, the living force within you, this power within you, there is no limits to what is within you. The possibilities are endless, they are limitless, but the material mind has doubt, and these doubts are implanted through the words impossible and I can't. And to do that is a sin. And why is that a sin? Because you're stopping the expression of the creative spirit of the God or the universe or the spirit within you. This is what he's saying. Do not use these words. So create a trigger. Anytime you hear impossible or I can't, catch yourself and delete those words from your vocabulary. 10, the health and renewing forces of spring. During the later winter and early spring months, you are molting. You are casting off the old, dead matter and taking in new, providing you give this force opportunity to act on you to the best advantage. By ceasing to be active either with mind or body when they call for rest, as birds and animals during their molting period of the process of casting off the old elements and receiving the new. Right? See, what I love about this is it's so important for us to cast off the old sheath, the past, so that we're able to grow anew. If we don't cast off the past, we're going to stay where we are, but we need to molt. We need to molt to be able to grow further, and this is spring. So if you think about the seasons of life, always in the back of your mind, think about the seasons of life, and spring is a place of renewal, rebirth, getting rid of the old and starting anew. There is no great dividing line betwixt what we call matter and spirit. Matter is but a form of spirit or thought seen to the physical eye. Matter is a force temporary materialized, as in the lump of coal, which, when set on fire, sends off the force bound up into the move of the engine. The lump passes then mostly into the element invisible. So all about us we find force ever passing from the physical visibility into invisibility and vice versa. Millions and millions of tons of invisible matter may be on a clear day suspended over our heads for 1 hour. The next fall to the visible form of rain or snow, which a few hours after may be drawn up again, but invisible. Essentially, if you can see here, what he's saying is this fundamental spirit that is connected through all different phases of expression. 11. Immortality in the flesh. We believe that immortality in the flesh is a possibility, or in the words, that the physical body can be retained so as long as the spirit desires its use, and that these bodies, instead of decreasing in strength and vigor as years go on, will increase, and its youth will be perpetual. I love this. We believe that the reputed fables in the ancient mythologies referring to the immortals or beings possessed of the powers other and greater than mortals have a foundation in fact. What he's saying here is the immortality in the flesh, they believe they can retard it. By the spirit having purpose of the physical body, you're going to be able to prolong your life, they're saying. As long as that spirit finds its purpose and that purpose is perpetuating, you're going to be able to live as long as possible. This is what he's saying. All sickness is an effort of the spirit, renewed by the fresh influx of force to cast off and relatively old dead matter. So what I love about this, so all sickness is essentially just spirit, our force underneath, just trying to get rid of the dead matter, trying to renew, it's trying to create renewal, renewed forces. 12, the attraction of aspiration. Attraction is the law of heaven, repulsion that of earth. The higher the degree of vibration, the higher that you go up in life, the more you're going to attract things to you. Whereas the more close you are aligned with earth, with material things, material possessions, that's when you're repelling things away from you, because you're not going to be able to connect with the all, with everything around you. The attraction of aspiration, every thought or desire of ours to be nobler, more refined, more free from malice, ill will to others, and to do others good without exacting condition is the thing. A force of unseen element which does actually tend to draw upward, or in other words, away from the earth, or any other form of that cruder type of spirit seen to the physical eye or apparent to the body's touch, which we call matter. This is the aspiring order of thought you draw from the higher realms of spirit or element every time you wish, pray, or desire. So again, you're drawing yourself, every time you're wishing and dreaming and having these aspirations, you're drawing yourself higher to this creation. You are drawing to you then that unseen element which incorporates itself with your body and spirit, and then it commences literally to draw toward the realm and element of greater, broader, pure life existent in zones and bands about our planet. It will, as you persist in aspiring thought, make you stand more erect. So the more aspiration you have, the more dreams you have, the more that you want to rise and elevate and express your spirit, the more alive you're going to be, is essentially the more erect you're going to be. When you are ruled by the attraction of gravitation, or in other words, the attraction of material things, it will tend to make your shoulders rounded and stooping, your head bowed and your eyes downcast. Your heart will also in some way literally bow down through grief, worry, and anger, and some form of immature thought or attraction coming of seeing things in cruder forms or spirit. See, what I love about this is, if you're attracted to only material things, what it's going to do is your expression is going to be hunched over. But if you're attracted to the purpose, to ever greater levels of expression of the spirit, you're naturally going to be raised up. You're naturally going to be enlightened. Yeah? As you are ruled more and more by the attraction of aspiration, the desire to be more and more God or Goddess, the determination to conquer all the evil within you, which is the only way to conquer any of all evil outside of you, your form will in accordance grow more upright, more upright. Your eye will be more open and uplifted, your heart will be more lifted up. Your cheeks will bloom with fresher color, your blood will fill more and more with fine and powerful element, giving your limbs strength, vigor, suppleness, and elasticity of movement. You are then filling more and more with the elixir of life, which is no myth, but a spiritual reality and possibility. So people that are drawn to physical material objects only, they are dense, they're not enlightened. But the people that know there's more beyond the material world, the physical senses, they're drawn up. They have a greater degree of vibration, they're lifted up, and they radiate. These people radiate. You can see people glowing. These people glow. It's very powerful stuff. 13, the ascension of new thought. There are thousands of things, events, and scenes in your past life which is more profitable to forget to remember. By so forgetting, you allow entrance for the new idea, which is new life. By remembering, you prevent the coming to you of such a new idea and life. See, again, anything from this moment in the past we need to forget in order to allow new things to come in. And this dates back thousands of years ago. I can't believe it was Aristotle, Plato, or Socrates. One of them said we need to forget to learn, right? And this is essentially what he's saying. We need to be able to forget, to be able to allow new ideas to come. And this dates back thousands of years ago. If you were debilitated, weak, or sick yesterday at any hour, do not commence today with living in the thought in the same weakness or debility at that hour. Forget it, live away from it, and press on forward to the thought of being strong, well, and vigorous at that hour. So again, the people that are the most successful in the world, they don't have time to be sick because they don't worry about the shit that's going on. They're thinking about creation. They're thinking about using God's expression or the universe's expression. And by using this expression, they don't have time to be sick. They forget it and they don't get sick. So this is very powerful in terms of vitality, health, and vigor. Life is a continual advance forward. If we're advancing forward, it is better to look forward, and all are advancing, even the dullest grows to the most perverse. So again, we are always growing upwards and onwards. Whether you believe it or not, you're always evolving, you're always learning, you're always evolving. This is important to understand. Our thought is an unseen magnet, ever attracting its correspondence in things seen and tangible. As we realize this more and more clearly, we shall become more and more careful to keep our mindset in the right direction. So think about this. So your thought is the unseen magnet. As he said, your thoughts are currents. Your thoughts are producing currents away from you. But as you're producing these currents, things are getting drawn towards you. And these things, you're going to be able to see them and hold them in your hand. So the thoughts that you're having, they're shaping this substantial reality, right? Your thoughts are shaping this substantial reality to bring to you the things that you see and you can hold in physical form. And the more as an individual you can realize the power of your thoughts, the more they're going to be able to take control of your thoughts, and the more they're going to be able to take control of your thoughts, the more you're going to be able to alter your reality. Guys, hope you got value out of this book. This book was called Thoughts Are Things by Prentice Mulford. He was one of the OGs in the New Thought movement. If you got value, smash like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment down below, and I'll see you all next week.